This is reposted.
So a couple weeks ago, a couple days ago, who knows what day this is going to air, but I was at Trader Joe's and we were checking out, and the cashier said, "Oh, I've always wanted to try that pasta. Like, what do you guys do with it?" And we shared this recipe with him. It's a chicken Caesar pasta salad. And as we were leaving, I was like, "Oh man, that was nice." And then it got me thinking, like, there's probably something to sharing recipes with someone. And I went down and I found a article called Three Reasons Why Sharing Recipes is Important. And so I talked to you last week and I said, "Hey, I want you to share a recipe with someone and see what happens. Like, no predetermined things that you think are going to happen." And I did the same thing. And we were going to talk live and see what happened. And I'm curious. I'll share what happened to me, but I'll let you go first. I know you shared a recipe, but how did this process play out for you?
Well, so here's the thing, just a little backstory about recipes. I'm very overwhelmed by recipes. I'm not so I'm the everyday cook in our house, but that means I just put things together and make it. But if we're
Mhm.
gonna like bake a cake for someone's birthday, my wife pulls out a recipe and goes step by step and loves that. Recipes overwhelm me. There's a lot going on there.
Well, this is very nuanced, or Nicole hates the word nuanced, but recipe is different than baking. Baking is like being a scientist, and recipe is more by feel. But I hear your point.
So I sometimes I'll get a recipe or see something from like the New York Times and I'm like, I'd really like to make that. But oh, there's so many steps to do that. And so, which is true. So you gave me this assignment and I saw something and it just randomly happened to read something. And it was called Japanese bear bread. And it's like you make these little tiny bears in this bread. It's very nuanced, right? You got to make the bread, then you got to put them in this little bear sort of thing. And I was like,
Like
oh,
a
I'd really
mold?
like to make that. What?
Like a mold? A
Yeah,
bear
well,
mold?
no, you kinda
Or
like
you shape them?
you kinda shape it to be it's kind of this craze, I don't know, maybe it's not, but anyways, Japanese bear bread, bear puff bread, and I was like, "I'd really like to make this," and then you gave me the assignment, I was like, "This is great. I'm gonna send it to someone who will make this, and it might inspire me to make it," and my sister has really gotten into baking bread during the pandemic. I was like,
Mhm.
"Ooh, this is perfect. She probably has not made this yet." So I sent it to her, and she's like her response was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna make this."
Nice. Do you talk to her often?
Yes.
Okay.
But not I mean, not like every day, but
Yeah.
maybe every other week or so.
Yeah. So I think that's really cool. Has she made it yet or not
She
yet?
has I mean, I don't know if she's made it yet. I'm assuming if she'd have made it, she'd have sent
She
me a
would
picture.
told you, yeah.
She's got a couple of young boys, so it works out good to have a little bread shaped as a bear.
Yeah, that's fun. So I recently made something. We had a salad from a restaurant, and we're like, "Ooh, we like this, but we want to make this change on it." So we've like been working on it and we've honed it. It's kind of like a winter salad. It's a kale salad with some
Winter salad.
wild rice. Anyway, I
Bunch
was
of
like,
chicks.
I just think it's a fun way. This article actually has the three reasons to share. And the last one was sharing recipes connects you with people. And I thought about someone that I used to be in connection with, and I haven't talked to that much recently, is a guy I used to work with. He still lives in Northern California. And I was like, he likes to cook. And so I didn't explain why. I was like, hey man, I got this recipe, and
For a winter salad?
it made me it made me think of you. I mean, Larry, you could make the winter salad. It's just putting the ingredients together.
Bro, I am not eating a winter salad. If it's got nuts on it, I'm not eating that.
It doesn't. Oh, it does have nuts as
Yeah, I
almonds.
knew it. I knew your winter salad had nuts.
Oh, cheese.
You know,
Anyway, so I sent it to him, and it's like someone I haven't talked to in a while, and like it got us talking again. And not that we were estranged; it's like we both have different lives, and it's someone I enjoyed. And so over the past few days, we've just been catching up more, and I think that was nice. And to me, I think it's like a way. It's a good excuse to reach out to someone that you haven't really talked to in a while without having a reason. It's like, oh, we used to be really close because we worked together and we would just talk because we saw each other every day, or fill in the blank for whoever that is in your life. And I would talk to him, but I don't have a reason to. And so I think sharing a recipe with someone is like a good excuse. Be like, hey, I thought about you.
well, is that a little bit weird if you're like, "Hey, we haven't talked in 2
Yeah.
years, but here's a recipe for a Chinese chicken salad." Is that not a weird?
I mean, it's a little bit weird, but I mean, how would you feel if someone sent that to you? You'd be like, oh, this person's nuts. I'm not going to respond to the email. Like, it just re engaged me chatting with him.
I like this out of the box thinking. So I think that like if someone I had talked to 2 years sent me a winter salad recipe, I'd be like, well, wow, that's like, we're going to reconnect. I like this idea. I do like this idea, number 3, of using recipes to connect with people. I think it's awesome. Like, but I often, like, my wife gets overwhelmed by connections with people. She'll be like, oh, I haven't talked to that person for so long. I got to write them a 5-page email and catch up. Blah, blah, blah. I always feel like short accounts are better. Like, someone that I haven't seen
Right.
in like maybe 6 months, I send them this recipe and that gets the conversation going. And I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I guess as we were talking, I was thinking about like some people don't like to cook. You like curating playlists. Like you could make one for like, oh, I
Totally.
know you're training for a 10K. I made you a playlist. Like it's it was weird to write that email to that guy, and I was like, how do I even start this? I haven't talked to you
Here's a winter salad.
in a year, and I was like, hey, I thought you might appreciate this. If you don't want to make it, that's fine. But like, it doesn't have to be. I don't know. I think just the way I felt telling the Trader Joe's cashier about the recipe, I was like, this is, oh, I feel like I have more of a connection with this person. And I was like, I would like to be more connected to the people that I like. And so I just use it as an excuse. Or you could also do the other side and be like, hey, I'm trying to cook more. I know you like to cook. What's your favorite recipe? And that's another way to reach out to people.
You
Or
know,
you can just sit at home and practice Latin.
winter salad. I like this idea. It just came in as you were talking, is that, I hate giving presents just for present's sake, but someone, I like the idea of baking something for them, giving
Mhm.
it to them, and also giving them the recipe. Being
Yeah.
like, I made this for you. I think you're going to like it. And here is also the recipe if you want to do it again.
Yeah, I did that with a handful of people with sourdough bread, and
During the
only
pandemic,
one person has taken up the recipe. My sister-in-law gave me starter and gave me a recipe, and that got me down the train. And then all the people in Los Angeles that I'm friends with from San Francisco, I would bring them bread, and they're like, "Oh, this is great! I should try it." They try it once and then gave up. So that
okay,
was a
wait a
little
minute. You
disheartening.
didn't give someone some of your precious starter and they poo-pooed you.
No, that's exactly what happened.
What? That's just, dude. If someone gave me some of their starter, I would be, or if I gave away some of my starter and they just like let it go to waste, I'd be pissed, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how some people don't. I mean, it's a tall order to say make some sourdough bread, even though it's not that much work. Once you get down it into it, it's daunting to think about. I wanted to make sourdough for about 10 years, and I started like looking into it. I was like, starter, ooh. And so I just would stop there and like I made ciabatta bread or something. But
Do
uh,
you your starter's still going?
yeah, Nicole jokes that it's my baby. I'll be like, well, we got to leave the beach in 20 minutes because I got to feed the starter. And it's true.
But
It
you
was
you
it was
you
a
do
little
have to
touch
feed.
and go when we moved because the starter didn't get fed for about a week.
Was that? I mean, you got to do it like once a week. You got to feed a starter.
Yeah, once a week, kind of at minimum. I try to do it more than that, depending on how often I'm baking.
Baking, God, yeah. Honestly, baking overwhelms me. I love the idea that my daughter's now baking and my wife bakes because all those steps. Oh my gosh, forget
Yeah,
about
I
it.
mean, the more you cook, though, you understand like what those steps are, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't really need to do it that way. We had HelloFresh for about a month, and I was like, all right, there's steps here, but I'm just going to make it a better way.
Why did you do it? The last person in the world that I thought would do HelloFresh would be you. You could just,
It was an engagement present.
oh, there you go.
There you go. Well, if you would like some starter, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for Sourdough Larry saying thanks for stopping by.